I am Pastor Jack Davidson from Redeemer Lutheran Church in Lancaster, Ohio. Welcome to our Facebook page or YouTube channel as we continue our look at Luther's Small Catechism, the Sixth Petition. Lead us not into temptation. Luther says that there are three types of temptation: our sinful flesh, the world we live in, and the devil himself. Now, regarding our sinful flesh, this is what is commonly called the old Adam. We're born and conceived in sin. The truth is not in us, and so this old Adam, this sinful nature, sticks with us from the moment we're born till the day we die. This old Adam encourages us into all sorts of evil lusts. We're tempted to live as the world lives, denying God and living for ourselves. That's the first type of temptation. The second type of temptation is the temptation that the world offers. The world drives us to anger and impatience. When we see people living in the world today, we're tempted to live as they live. There are all sorts of sins that the world participates in: pride, anger, jealousy, envy, hatred, violence, cursing, lewdness, lust. Now, the world believes that these vices are normal. The world lives by the adage, do unto others before they do unto you, or you might as well live for yourself because nobody else will. Then there's the devil, that angry lion who seeks to devour each and every one of us. He tries to agitate our soul, causes us to question God's love for us and forgiveness. It leads us to despise God and His Word, tempts us and leads us into despair, false security, unbelief, and other shocking things. We're attacked by the devil each and every day. The flesh, the world, the devil, these are the things that tempt us. And so we pray, lead us not into temptation. We ask that God would not allow us to become complacent, that we would become weary and faint-hearted. We pray that God would give us the strength to bear up under temptation and resist it. And then when temptation is not taken away or removed, we pray that God would give us the stamina and endurance that we need to endure the trials that are sent our way. Luther makes note in the Large Catechism that there is a difference between feeling temptation and giving in to temptation. We all feel temptation, but each in different ways. Luther writes elsewhere that young people might be tempted more to sin sexually, whereas an older person might be tempted to sin for the love of money. Whatever the temptation, Satan knows well our weakness and seeks to exploit our weakness by offering a temptation that will strike at the core of our heart. Listen to what Luther writes. He says, such feelings, as long as they are against God's will, and we would rather be rid of the temptations, harm no one. If it didn't feel the temptation, then it wouldn't be called a temptation. Luther concludes by saying we all need to be armed with God's weapons. We all need to fight against temptation because temptation comes at us daily from the flesh, the world, and the devil. The Apostle Paul speaks of the sword of the Spirit and other weapons at our disposal in Ephesians chapter 6, so we need to arm ourselves with such spiritual armament to thwart the devil and stop his fiery darts. For even though we may now be patient, loving, and kind, the devil is at our door seeking to upset the apple cart. Luther says where one temptation stops, there's always arises another temptation in its place. So our comfort then, and a weapon that we have at our disposal, is the Lord's Prayer. Praying the Lord's Prayer, asking God to forgive us and to lead us not into temptation. For if you try to battle the devil alone, you're going to lose, and you'll only make matters worse. As Luther says, the devil has a serpent's head. When he finds an opening in which he can slip, he'll squirm through that opening without stopping. Only prayer can stop him and drive him back. And so we pray, Lord, lead us not into temptation.